Alright, you battlers, you know what it is. JayDevin back at it with another Go Battle League Master League video. Battlers! So, for today's video, I am going to be highlighting a 5-0 that I had recently with this team. It was very early on when the Master League first started, and there's my rating at this point. It has jumped up a little bit. I'm really not trying to get, you know, like too hot-headed or anything. I need to stay humble. I don't want to jinx it. The team I'm using currently, while I'm recording this video, is different from this, but still I wanted to bring this team to you to highlight this, I guess, and showcase it, because if you're, you know, struggling a little bit, I think this really can help. So obviously, as you can see, there's the team. We are leading with our Rhyperior that has Mudslaps, Superpower, and Rock Wrecker. Later on, I guess I'll explain why I go Superpower instead of Surf. I'm sure there's already going to be people hating on in the comments of why are you running that? That makes no sense. But the Metagross obviously has the standard Bullet Punch, Meteor Mash, and then Earthquake, and then Snorlax, Lick, Body Slam, Earthquake. So again, this was a 5-0, a clean 5-0 sweep. I think some of them were kind of close calls, but you know, nonetheless, a 5-0 is a 5-0, right? So this is basically the strategy and or the thought process behind this team when I put it together. It's basically to bait out the Giratina, right? Because Rhyperior can be a really strong lead overall. He has very good matchups against the entire meta. He can beat Togekiss, he can beat Dialga, he can beat Giratina Origin, he can beat Melmetal. He beats basically all the popular leads. The worst case scenario, obviously, as you can see, is the water weak spot with this team. If somebody leads and or safe swaps with a Kyogre, which honestly is not that common so far, but if they do, that's a big weak spot in this team, right? Because Kyogre can beat all of these picks, so Kyogre would be a problem. Keep that in mind. But yeah, the second note that I made, obviously, as you can see, is this does have full Dialga coverage, right? So you have the Dialga coverage on the Rhyperior between, you could basically just go Mudslap, especially if they open with it. I think all you have to do is shield the first Iron Head, and then you can full farm down on that Dialga. You can beat a Dialga with the Metagross, obviously, with the Earthquake, and you can beat a Dialga, obviously, with the Snorlax with the Earthquake. So yeah, it's pretty simple, honestly. It's a really simple strategy. It's nothing super complicated. It's a strong open with swap options. It's kind of a bait swap because again, you want to bait out that Giratina, which is why, like, sometimes even when I don't necessarily need to, I'll do like a swap into the Metagross, because Giratina's everywhere. There is a Giratina Origin around every single corner, and in my experience, if they don't lead with it, which again, I can beat the lead with the Rhyperior, but if they don't, I'll swap it with Metagross, and I'll be like, show me that Giratina so I can farm that thing down and then just sweep you after the Snorlax does his thing, right? Yeah, again, not super complicated, very simple strategy. It did work very well. Some other weak spots potentially, obviously, as you can see, are similar off-meta and or anti-meta teams. Those can kind of be a struggle, because I basically had to sacrifice the Metagross at that point to the Snorlax, because no matter what, I know I want to save a shield, and they were running a very peculiar, or very interesting, I guess, set on their Snorlax. Obviously, from what you saw, they Earthquaked my Metagross, and then they threw a Superpower at my Rhyperior, which I shielded, and then a Superpower at my Snorlax. So they did not have Body Slam. Nani? Interesting, honestly interesting. This seems like a lot of fun. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know that I would run it, but maybe, actually. That makes me think a lot. That could be really sneaky. Because it did them a lot of favors, but we still did end up winning, obviously, because this video that we're featuring with this team is going to be a 5-0. So the low energy cost. Okay, so I guess to talk about Superpower a little bit, it's low energy cost. Like, I don't care about the self debuff with the attack and defense, the one stage on the attack and defense. I don't care too much about that, because normally the Superpowers, from what you can see, they're going to be a late game play, right? Because most people run Surf, and most people would expect Surf. So in situations like that, I'm just going to throw Superpower. The Surf is neutral to the steals. I guess to a Metagross, Superpower would be neutral as well. But specifically, like, to Melmetal, because I also see Melmetal like everywhere, Superpower is super effective to Melmetal, whereas Surf is just going to be neutral, so I prefer it for that. But also because I have run into a few Rhyperior mirrors, which, Surf is going to be preferred there, but also like running into Snorlax as well too. Having that potential double Superpower coverage, like if shields are down, I can TKO their Rhyperior with a Superpower, and then throw a Superpower into their Snorlax with shields down, and then I swap into my own Snorlax. It's kind of like additional steps you have to take just by running Superpower, so I guess you kind of put yourself at a disadvantage and or you restrict your plays a bit by running it that way, but I just prefer to run it that way because of the plays that it gives me. I feel like it works better and it's more consistent. So we still end up winning this too. Obviously, as you can see, they did get the boost. I'm going to throw up a shield just in case, no matter what, because some people might be running Dragon Pulse, but even with the boost, you get licked down by the Snorlax. GG's trainer. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. The only reason really that I stopped running this team at this point is because I did start to see people safe swap Kyogre more and more often, which early on when the Master League started here for Season 1 in Pokemon GO Battle League, nobody was running Kyogre anymore. It was pretty common, if not super common in the preseason, but I'm just not seeing any Kyogres, so I decided to take advantage of that by using a team like this. I guess, you know, if you are not, when you do your Go Battle League sets, if you don't see a lot of Kyogres, I would 100% recommend this team. This team worked very well and was very consistent, but if you are seeing a lot of Kyogres, then I would run something else, I guess. But anyways, you know, it was a 5-0, so it worked. It was consistent. It brought me success, and it helped me get back up to the point that I am at right now. Also, while recording this video, I'm out of more sets for the day, but I have had actually a couple more 5-0s. They weren't back-to-back, unfortunately, so I don't have any 10-0 streaks, which kind of sucks. I don't have any of those, but we're still doing pretty good, so I don't want to reveal the team that I'm currently using in the videos that I upload. That's what I did before, but I want to stop doing that, honestly, because I get sniped, you know, whether it's by people watching the videos or someone watches the video, then recommends the team to their like local Discord, and then, you know, all of a sudden it's like a virus, right? It spreads and people are like, oh, not even my videos, like they'll be like, oh, you know, King made a video on this team and it worked. You know, you're gonna sack swap a Heracross and then close with Snorlax, and it's like, oh my gosh, that destroys all the strats, and then everybody's running it, right? So as I make my teams, I am not going to tell you what the teams are. Don't even bother asking. I did use this team again, though. This team works. The team I'm using currently is different. I guess at least what I can tell you is it's one of the PvPoke recommended teams from his graphic that was put together courtesy of, I believe, Game Press. Helped PvPoke put that graphic together. But I decided, you know what, because I kind of liked how the team looked, and I was like, you know what, I'll just give it a shot. Whatever, it's my last set for the day. I'll just give it a shot, see how it goes. And it was good. I went 5-0 with it too. So don't sleep on those PvPoke teams on that graphic. I would highly encourage you to give those a shot as well, because some of those can be easier to use and are more simple to use than the teams that I make, right? Because let's be honest, some of the strats and the teams that I make are a little confusing, and sometimes they'll be a little difficult. Like, for example, in I believe my last upload, I recommended running Hydro Pump on Gyarados when the standard set typically is going to be Dragon Breath, Crunch, Outrage. I still kind of stand by that. Like, Gyarados is squishy enough in the Master League, it can be kind of risky, and depending on, you know, what they're going to answer your Gyarados with, you might not even be able to reach the Hydro Pump, but that's not the way I'm going to play him. I don't swap in Gyarados. Typically what I would do is open with the Gyarados and then swap and save that energy, right? But let me explain this. I don't mind telling you this and my thought process behind it. When Charmers are more common, which they might start to become more common over the next week or two, we don't know. But if and when they do, if you run Gyarados with Dragon Breath, Crunch, and Outrage, you have absolutely nothing to throw at a Charmer, right? They resist the Crunch Dark type damage, they resist the Outrage, the Dragon type damage. The Hydro Pump will nuke. So that's why I recommended that. I probably should have given that context when I, you know, presented him as a pick and or why I liked it or whatnot. So I apologize I didn't do that. But yeah, that's it. Obviously, as you can see, 5-0. We've got a Skarmory. As our reward from a 5-0. That sucks. Feels bad, man. No worries. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, battler. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you feel my vibe. Power up, punch the notification bell for all that PvP content. And we'll see you in the next video. Have a good stinking day.